But then secondly, in the 9:30 to 12 noon, they did many, many other things. They did pastoral cases, where they would take a case study of some pastoral problem and they would work through it. Sometimes they actually did have people do some teaching on some area of theology that they were working through, trying to figure out, well, what do we believe about this? They also did brotherly critique, which was not formal discipline, but they called it sharpening. They regularly got together and talked to each other about how they thought one another were doing as preachers, as pastors, as Christians. And they did examine new pastors in order to determine whether or not they should be ordained ministers. And there was just general mutual theological and ethical encouragement. Plus, 4 times a year, I already mentioned this, along with the communion season, they did particular self-evaluation, where they looked at each other. Today we'd call it peer review. Today we'd call it a 360. But what it really was pastors sitting down with each other and telling each other very frankly how they thought they were doing in the pastoral office. This happened every week, and of course those particular times of peer review happened 4 times a year. Does any pastors in this room experience anything like that? No. If you're a Presbyterian, you can actually see, and what Calvin did, this is the historic, this is the headwaters of the Presbytery meeting. This is where the Presbytery meeting came from. But everybody knows, even in the best Presbyterian churches, that this is not what Presbyterian meetings look like anymore. All we do is the business part, partly because we don't meet every Friday from 8 until noon. And if you're not in a Presbyterian situation, if you're in a Baptist situation, congregational, independent churches, things like that, those of us who are in more connectional, traditional denominations, when we do get together, it's all formal. It's nothing like this. We don't work on our preaching. We don't preach through books of the Bible together. We don't work on our unity of doctrine and our purity of doctrine and the quality of our preaching. We don't do that. We don't sit around and do brotherly critique. We don't do that. We don't know each other that well, frankly, and we're too busy with all the logistics. But those of you who are not in traditional connections, you don't get anything like this either. And I would say, going forward, I'm not sure how we are going to survive as the culture gets more hostile. We're going to see more and more people who look like their ministry is doing well go down, just walk away, or fall into doctrinal error, or come under the pressure of the culture to change traditional biblical doctrine, or people who are going to succumb to various sorts of temptations because we don't do anything like this.